Howdy, howdy. Welcome on in to the pre-show before the free show. You're a little off-center there.
Am I?
Yeah.
Okay, how's that?
That's better.
All right. Hello, friends.
Oh, God, you came in hot.
Yeah. I did come in hot.
For what reason?
I have a question.
Oh, God. I never like when that happens.
My question is, am I raising a narc?
Oh, no. Did he tell on himself again?
No. He has told on himself before, which I'm okay with. Tell on yourself.
Typically, it lightens the blow. It's almost the...
That's exactly it.
It's
yeah.
if you get in trouble with your parents, if they hear from someone else,
If you got
it's
a
10
bad
times worse.
a bad report card, you'd rather you hand it to them and say, "This is not good." I'm telling you right now. Like that
I
was,
have already
yes.
acknowledged myself
Yes.
that this is not
Look,
good.
I'm punishing myself.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
So you don't need to do it.
Yeah, you don't need to do it. Like, let's just go get ice cream. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay. No, here is the story.
Okay.
So, Hank's got some songs. We got a Spotify playlist called Hank Jams.
Hank Jams, okay.
And there's one particular album that he likes. Just a lot of kid songs.
Right.
Old MacDonald.
Itsy Bitsy Spider's gotta be on
Itsy
there.
Bitsy Spider. A lot of like counting songs.
Okay,
Things like that. All right. Kiddo song. One of the songs is Who Took the Cookie from the Cookie Jar.
Okay. Is that based off the book with like the little mouse?
I don't know.
That was a
but
personal
it's
favorite.
a song about it, but basically they go around, and there's a video component to this on Amazon.
Okay.
But he likes the music. And there's and they go around, it's basically barnyard animals. And it's like, who took the cookie from the cookie jar?
Okay.
Cow took the cookie from the cookie jar.
Okay.
The cow says, who, me?
Mm-hmm.
The audience says, yes, you. And then I think he says either couldn't be or not me.
Right, yeah.
And then it's, then who? And they move on to the
Yeah,
next one,
that's
right?
definitely, I think that's based off the book.
I think so. I think you're right. I'm not super well versed in that, but that sounds right. Okay. Here's the problem, though. The problem is it all ends, like we do find out who stole the cookie from the cookie jar.
Okay.
And it is
Spoiler
the mouse.
alert.
It's the mouse.
Okay, yeah, then it's definitely the book.
The mouse stole the cookie from the cookie jar. It has a nice ending because it says, let's share it. Like all of us, we can share it together. It's a nice message.
So as long if you steal something, as long as you're sharing, it's fine.
Here's the problem. Is that we'll get through the first, like, it'll be like, who took the cookie from the cookie jar? And this is the first one, right? So it's like Duck took the cookie from the cookie jar.
Right.
And Hank's just yelling out in the backseat, no! Mouse did it! Get him! And I'm deeply concerned about the ramifications.
You have a little narc on your hand.
I'm deeply concerned about the ramifications of this.
Oh, Hank.
Because he's just like, no, it's Mouse. I know the answer to this. Mouse did it.
Yeah.
I've seen this movie. Mouse did it. And I'm like, dude, like, let it play out. Let's examine all the suspects. Okay? Like, you never know. Maybe this time the horse is going to cop to it. You know?
Oh.
Yeah, but it was
no.
this morning. We were driving to school, and we were playing this song in the car, and it was like the first one. It's like Pig, and it's like Mouse took it, and I'm like, no, we're not the mouse.
No.
And so it gets to the second one. It's like Mouse did it. I'm telling you, who did it? It's the mouse. I saw him. That's problematic.
Oh, no.
It's problematic because I don't want my kid growing up to be a narc.
No. Okay, so Daniel Agnew left a really good comment that I completely agree with. As long as he's telling on himself, that's okay.
That's not narking.
If he's telling on other
That's
people,
exactly right.
he said you gotta nip that in the butt before it gets bad, because that's the biggest thing.
You don't want to be a tattletale.
No, the tattletales don't make friends.
No.
Like,
and the other thing is, and maybe this is a greater concept, and he's 2, so obviously old enough to know better. Old enough to know office politics. He will come home, and I think I've mentioned this on air, that we had, last week we did have a rough couple of days at school.
Okay, yeah.
We had a rough couple of days at school. Had to go to timeout. But that's why he was telling on himself.
So, right.
Like, he walked out, he goes, I went to timeout. And he told his mom, and it's like, and he's normally pretty good kid. All the teachers think he's just really sweet. But these 2 days in a row, he was throwing blocks or something, right? Yeah, it's a no. But now, like Monday, I was bracing. Monday, I was like, boy, I really hope
he can't have another bad day.
Because if we go over the weekend and then we have 3 days,
because you
in a
said that
row,
y'all told him like, Hank,
yeah,
you gotta.
We talked about it over the weekend.
Yeah,
we were like,
you gotta
buddy,
be better.
We gotta be a good boy at school. Like, we're not gonna do these things. Like, we gotta be, you gotta listen to your teachers, things like that. And so I was really bracing like Monday, but no, we didn't go to timeout.
Good,
which is
good.
great. Good job, buddy. Yeah, like we're doing we celebrate the good stuff. Yes. But he didn't tell us who did go to timeout. He was like, and I'll make up a name so that he's like Joshua went timeout. It's like I don't know if I need a full report on like the blotter at school. But like,
so maybe he's a little gossiper.
I'm glad it wasn't you.
Yeah.
But that's the only one that really matters. Like, I don't really care about Anna
going
if
to
she goes to
timeout.
timeout.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I only care about like my reputation's only staked in you're going to timeout or not. Okay.
Maybe he's a future journalist. Like he's bringing you the facts. A capital J journalist.
God, I
Hank.
hope not. I hope he picks something where he makes some money.
Finance, engineering.
I hope he goes and does something that you need a brain for, as opposed to just talking into a microphone
on a mediocre internet show.
Oh,
that was the funny.
Like, I do not want I imagine like there are parents out there who like really want their kids to grow up and be just like them. And I'm like, stay as far away as you can, kid. Like, go be an astronaut. Go do something, like, awesome. Instead of sitting here and talking into a microphone for the 1,146th day in the last 5 years. So
I will say real fast, the funny thing with my younger brother, we could always tell because he was kind of like that. Not like you could tell early on he was a really bad liar because he would get this lip quiver thing. And so it's really funny to watch kids do that because Jake would try every now and then, but he would like puff out his lips like that and we're like, dude, you are never going to sneak out when you're a teenager, like ever, because you're going to get caught and you're going to try and deny it and they're going to know instantly.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to say this. I don't know if I'm a good liar. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or am I lying about that?
I think you might be lying about that.
Hit the theme next. Let's go! Free money!
How to sing blue baby. Shot glass in your hand.
Yes. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership here in beautiful Louisville, Texas. It is Texas Football Today, a program coming to you through the miracle of the internet. My name is Greg Tepper. I am the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football magazine, TexasFootball.com, a corresponding website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us, whether you're watching us live at TexasFootball.com or on Facebook or listening to us on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on the podcast vendor of your choice. Either way, thank you for doing your part. Oh, we're also on Twitch and YouTube.
Yes.
Thank you. Either way, thank you for doing your part to support your local mediocre internet show. I am sitting over there at the helm today, making us sound good. She is the Duchess of the Dorks. She is Ashley Pickle. Hello, Ashley Pickle.
Howdy.
You doing okay?
Yeah. Tony Blaylock definitely just tweeted out a picture, and it makes it look like I have the lightning coming out of my head the way the camera's angled today.
I like that. That's
That's some serious brain power right there.
Yeah, it is. Today is Thursday, April 15th, 2021. It's tax day.
Except not.
Except not in Texas. You get an extra month, guys.
Yeah.
What do we figure out, May 17th?
Yes, May 17th.
May 17th.
That's what it says on my Apple device.
So
if it's wrong, you can blame Apple.
Just think of Ned Flanders, like, be like, oh, almost forgot the mints. Like, drops it like with the taxes and nails them off on January 1st. 224 days till Thanksgiving, episode 1146. 1146. This is the Paul Wilmot episode. Paul Wilmot, this is rather remarkable. Paul Wilmot made his major league debut with the Rangers in relief of Nolan Ryan in 1989.
Wow.
Pitched in 3 games over the next 4 days and was never seen in the major leagues again.
But yeah,
He has
how can you
15.43 ERA. But he got to relief the Ryan Express. That's pretty good. Do we have first 4 through the door?
We sure do. It was Rob Hadaway, Tony Blaylock, Ryan Smiga, and Miss Terry Adams. Welcome in, fellas and lady fella.
Hello, friends. Okay, on today's show, guys, we're going to go inside the numbers, talk about who is the best active Texas high school football coach. And I think that there's I'll explain why I think that it's not an easy answer. And then back half of the show, it's Big Guest Thursday. And our big guest, we teased it yesterday, our big guest left a head coaching job in the college ranks to become a high school football head coach in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be joined by Kelly Lee, the new head coach of the Brownsville Veterans Memorial Chargers, who left eastern New Mexico to become the head coach of the Chargers. We'll talk to him about that, about why he made that decision, and all of that fun stuff. So that is coming up here at the back half of the program, if you stay tuned with us. Yes?
I was going to say, hey, send me his number. And, then I looked and you had. So, yeah, quick programming note on air.
Yes, there you go. Okay, let's talk about a piece that I've got up on TexasFootball.com. Sometimes I get a wild hair, which is kind of the theme of this entire show, always.
That's like the theme of our lives.
Sometimes I get a wild hair, and I just want to dive into data. And it always happens during magazine season.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because my brain is, at that point, very wired for, like, a lot of different data.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to do something that's, like, for me.
Right.
And so I went through, and I crunched the numbers on every Texas high school football coach ever. That's an actual thing. I now have a database.
Big spreadsheet.
A big spreadsheet. I now have a database of every person who has ever coached a UIL 11-man Texas high school football game.
And it was cool. Like, the stuff you sent in the Slack was really cool.
If you're interested, the total number is 466.
Wow. Okay.
13,466. Including, if you're interested, there are a few coaches who have never lost a game. In fact, there are a grand total of 48 coaches who are undefeated in Texas high school football history, including the greatest coach of all time, Frank Flack. Frank Flack coached Menard in 1922 to a 9-0 season and never coached again. Going out on top. They went 9-0. He's
batting 1,000.
He has the highest winning percentage. He has the most games won with a 100% winning percentage. So
that's amazing.
I wanted to go through this because one of the things I was always chasing is who are the best high school football coaches ever. And I think you're thinking of a few names right now. You're thinking of a few names. And those are really good names. If you want to say that Gordon Wood's the greatest high school football coach in Texas high school football history, I think you have a great case. I mean, that guy's got 9 state championships. That's an all-time record. He, of course, is a legend in Brownwood. A guy who is kind of the godfather of, he was for a long, long time the all-time winningest coach in Texas high school football history. Mm-hmm. If you want to say that Gordon Wood's the greatest Texas high school football coach ever, I think
a lot of people would agree with you.
I think G.A. Moore's got a great case, right? I think there's a good number of guys who have that case for being there. Bob Shelton, I think, has a case. D.W. Rutledge. I think there's a lot of guys, and you're thinking of those guys who are the greatest Texas high school football coaches ever. Here's what I want to do for this, and what I did on Texas Football. I narrowed it down to active coaches.
Yes.
Now, a few notes here. One, 6-man data is pretty hard to come by. It's pretty spotty. Mm-hmm. And so I've tried to include as much as I can, but it is also entirely possible that I am just totally whiffing on a couple of guys. So if I am, mea culpa. Also, this is for UIL only because private school data is extremely hard to come by. So I tried very hard to figure this out, so I stuck it with UIL. So a lot of it depends, in my opinion, if you want to talk about who the best Texas high school football coach is today, a lot of it comes down to how you slice it.
Right.
I also think it's worth recognizing and acknowledging that we are saying the best Texas high school football coach when really what we mean is the most successful.
Yes.
The guy who has won the most.
The winning percentage.
Because let's acknowledge that not every Texas high school football gig is created equal.
No.
There are resource differences at every school, right? And realistically, it is entirely possible that the greatest football mind in Texas is a guy who's never even qualified for the playoffs. Like, that's entirely possible because of resource differences, because there are challenges that some coaches face that other coaches will never face. That, we've talked we've had Matt Stepp on a couple of weeks ago. We talked about the struggles that inner city schools have.
Right.
Right? Those coaches are not bad coaches.
No.
They know what they're doing. And the depth of coaching in Texas is so remarkable that there are great coaches, even at schools that aren't winning a ton. And so when I say best Texas high school football coach, really what I mean is the most successful. That's the most. So that's a caveat. But it kind of depends on how you slice it. If you just look at the winningest active Texas high school football coaches, you got Phil.
Yep.
You got Phil Danaher. He's got 480.
Yep.
480 wins. Right? Pretty darn good. Next up is Randy Allen at Highland Park. Those two, he's got 414. Those two are lapping the field.
Yes.
Okay? Those two, because the next one is Denny Faith at Albany. He's got 317.
And yeah, it's gap.
He's got
like
97 fewer wins than Randy Allen. Now, Denny Faith has done that all at Albany. He is a legend out there.
Oh,
He is one of the few members of the 300 win club. We will almost certainly add another member to that, and it'll be Reginald Samples at Duncanville, who sits at 298. Then you get through to Larry Hill, Vance Jones at Balmorhea, one of the six-man guys I was able to include, Ross Rogers at Bryan, Tim Buchanan at Aledo, Jason Herring at Refugio, and Hal Wasson at Corsicana. Okay, those are the guys who have 250 wins. So you may be thinking, okay, tick the box. The greatest Texas high school football coach going right now is Phil Danaher. I think you'd be within your rights to say that.
Yeah.
We put him on the cover. We called him the king.
Yeah. I mean, wins
hates
speak a lot.
He hates that we've called him the king on the cover. So please tell him that whenever you see him. And
that just means we call him it more.
Hey, coach. Anyway. But what if we took another measure? What if we looked at winning percentage? Okay? What if we looked at win percentage that, plain and simple, Phil Danaher has 480 wins, but Phil Danaher's also coached 600 games.
Yeah.
He's coached a lot of games. What if you just go by who wins the highest percentage of their games? So I narrowed this down to just 100 games coached. You have to coach at least 100 games to be eligible for this list.
So, what Shadow Creek's coach? Was he somewhere else?
He would not be
not
eligible.
Yeah.
He's not eligible. Brad Beller. No.
Yeah. Because, his winning percentage would be through the roof. But
Sure. But, in fact, he's not even the highest right now.
Right.
I'll get to that in a moment. Really, the answer is, the highest winning percentage is Gary Joseph. Gary Joseph Cady is 227-22.
That is insane.
He has a 91.2% winning percentage. Okay.
Goodness.
Next up is Jerry Burkhart at Richland Springs, who's 234-24, a 90.6 winning percentage. Those are the only two above 90%.
Wow.
Let me zoom out on Gary Joseph for a moment because I do think this is remarkable. Gary Joseph does not just have the highest winning percentage among active Texas high school football coaches with at least 100 games coached. Gary Joseph has the highest winning percentage among every Texas high school football coach ever with at least 100 games. Every coach ever. Okay? Nobody's ever won 91.2% of their games until Gary Joseph. And then it gets to Chris Ketting at Canadian.
Okay.
Hank Carter at Lake Travis. Scott Surratt at Carthage. Steve Lineweaver at Euless Trinity. Jake Fizel at Gunner. Brady Carney at Munster. Todd Rogers at Argyle. And Tom Westerberg at Barbers Hill. All those guys have won at least 84.5% of their games. Okay? Tom Westberg's 186-34. And he's 10th on this list.
That's crazy.
So you could maybe look at Gary Joseph and say, it's him. By the way, some other notes here, and I have this in my piece. Terry Gamble, if he had not retired last month, would have ranked 4th on this list. He's 86. He would have ranked 4th. If you drop the minimum games to 50, it goes Gary Joseph, Chris Ketting, Kevin Hoffman at Mart,
Okay.
Hank Carter, and then Carl Absek at Cedar Park. If you remove the minimum games altogether and you just say, who are the best active coaches with that with winning percentage if they coached one game or 10,000?
Right.
First is Daniel Bodekert Shiner.
Okay.
He's 26-1. Okay. Ryan Ebner at Grandview is 26-2. Then it's Gary Joseph.
This man.
Then it's Jerry Burkhart, and then it's Riley Dodge. Riley Dodge is 38-4. The all-time winning percentage leader with a minimum of 50 games coached is, and this is all-time, this is Steve Wood at Aledo. He went 75-4. Then you go to district championships, right? What about district championships? Well, it's Randy Allen at the top, 28.
Okay.
Phil Danaher at 27, and they're lapping the field. Denny Faith is again 3rd. But then it's a two-way tie between Ross Rogers and Reginald Samples at 16. Another two-way tie between Gary Joseph and Mark Kiroff at Fall City. And then it's a big glut at 14 with Richard Barrett at Kennedale, Sam Harrell at Ennis, Jason Herring at Refugio, Larry Hill at Smithson Valley, and John King at Longview. They've all won 14 district titles.
Wow.
Now, Randy Allen's got twice those.
Yeah.
Which is kind of amazing. But then, what if you just zoom out and you go, all right, no. We're going to measure who the best high school football coach in Texas is based on the big one, based on the big prize. Who's got the most state championships? Okay. The leader in the clubhouse is Jerry Burkhart at Richland Springs. He's won 9. He's tied with Gordon Wood all time for the most Texas high school football state championships with 9. Scott Surratt, among 11-man coaches, is next. He's got 8.
Yes.
Tim Buchanan's got 7. He just got his 7th. And behind him is another guy who just got his next one, which is Todd Dodge at Westlake. And it's South Carolina. Then you've got a glut of guys with 4, which are Randy Allen, Jason Herring, Vance Jones, Gary Joseph, Dwayne Lee at Strawn, who just left to go to Aquila, and then Tom Westerberg, who won his titles at Allen. And so what I think is important here is you've got to find whatever blend you want.
Right.
I think all of these things are important, right? All of these things I think are viable measures of who the best Texas high school football coach is. All of them are viable measures. It just kind of depends on what you value, right? If you're like, it's state championship or bust, well, then in 6-man, it's Jerry Burkhart, and in 11-man, it's Scott Surratt. Hard stop, right? If you care about, like, consistent winning, I think you've just got to go with Gary Joseph.
Yeah.
With a 90, almost 92% winning percentage, right?
Or
if you care about longevity, then it's Randy Allen or Phil Danaher, right? If you care about winning your district, it's Phil Danaher or Randy Allen. Like, those are the things that make this such an interesting conversation. And I'll close with this. I don't want to get too caught up in who the best is.
Yeah.
Because I think that overshadows an important point, which is all these guys are active right now in Texas, plus a bunch of coaches we didn't even mention.
Right.
And the depth of I've said for a long time, people ask what makes Texas high school football so great. Yeah, the facilities are great. Yeah, the players are incredible. Yeah, the fan support is great, right? I think that truly what makes Texas high school football special and the best in the world is the depth of coaching that you have here. We're about to talk with a guy who just left a college football job to coach high school football in Texas.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason for that. And it's because the depth of coaching here is so deep and so incredible that I think focusing only on who the best is kind of misses the grander point, which is there's great coaches everywhere. Everywhere you look, you're going to be coaching against a great coach. So I hope you'll check out my piece on TexasFootball.com. It's titled "Who's the best coach in Texas high school football today?" I hope you'll check that out at TexasFootball.com. We are Texas Football Today. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com, talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. TexasFootball.com is where you can find complete coverage of high school football, college football, and recruiting all across the Lone Star State. I want to invite you to become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider at TexasFootball.com/subscribe. It's our subscription package. You get 2 magazines and a year's worth of exclusive online content at TexasFootball.com, including Tep and Step, our premium high school football podcast where we nerd out. We're going to record one on Monday, by the way, a new one where we'll talk a lot about that kind of stuff. And then you also get the 2021 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, which we are working on right now. The 400-page Bible of Texas football, the 62nd annual and 62nd? Ooh, 62nd. Thank you. 62nd annual edition of the Bible of Texas football. I think he sent me the wrong number. Huh. Proof that you've got a new gig. Let me send it to you. Do that one. Proof that you got a new gig is when you don't know your office number. Anyway, TexasFootball.com/subscribe. You will also get so if you subscribe today, the first magazine you get will come in June. You'll get the 2021 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football mailed to you early before it hits newsstands. If you go to TexasFootball.com/subscribe, we hope you will consider that. And as a bonus, if you like this show, you like our podcasts, like Republican Football, our college football podcast, like Texas 24, our basketball podcast, like Tep and Step. If you like those podcasts, the best way to support it and show you do it, like we don't have a Patreon, we have a subscription package. TexasFootball.com/subscribe. Less than a time a day to become a Dave Campbell's Texas Football Insider. Pickle, it's Big Guest Thursday, so let's go to the hotline, and let's bring in the new head coach of the Brownsville Veterans Memorial Chargers. We are joined by Coach Kelly Lee. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. How are things in the beautiful Rio Grande Valley?
Things are great. Weather's nice, and we're getting to work a little football, so couldn't be happier.
Fantastic. I'll ask you a question that I bet you've answered 100,000 times, but I'm going to make you answer it 100,001. You were over at Eastern New Mexico University. You were coaching the Greyhounds there. You are the most successful coach in Eastern New Mexico University history. There are a lot of guys that coaching in the college ranks is the dream. You have made the move from Eastern New Mexico to go take over at Brownsville Veterans Memorial. I guess my question is, why? Why was that the right move for you?
Well, I think during COVID it was a good time for some reflection, and I got to spend a lot of time with my family. And my roots are kind of in high school football. My father was a Hall of Fame high school coach, so I grew up around that. And I coached high school before I went to college, and my wife and I really kind of missed that and wanted the opportunity to get back into it. And then, but I still wanted to coach football at a really competitive level. So then that leads you to Texas high school football, right? And this is a part of the country that we had spent some time in and vacationed in and really loved the culture and the people. And when this job came open, I knew that it was not only a strong football program, but a great athletic program, be an athletic coordinator, and a fantastic school system for my children to go to. So, all those things kind of weighed into it. And the more we looked at it, the more we were sold. And then we made the move.
So you're taking over a program here at Brownsville Vets that has been on last year took a step back, but you are no stranger to turnaround stories. You took over Eastern New Mexico and took them obviously to new heights. Before that, you were at Valencia High School there in New Mexico and turned a program that was kind of down in the dumps and turned them into a winner over with 3 playoff appearances.
Yeah.
I guess my question is it a matter of simply doing the same thing, of going through, and is there a whole process behind a turnaround, or is it a matter of reading the situation?
I think there's a little bit of reading the situation, and I don't think this one's maybe as big a turnaround as some. I think we got to get back on track for sure, and then see what we need to do to take it to the next level and try to compete maybe outside of the valley, in playoffs and things like that. But I think the process is the same. I think it's a everyday process, and it starts with your culture, and you got to coach your culture, and of course you got to get your schemes in and your coaches in place. But I think it's day to day, and you got to coach that culture and that attitude and stuff every day. And if you do that and are consistent, my experience is that the wins will fall into place, and you'll have the success that you hope for.
You got hired about 6 weeks ago. You arrived there on campus. I'm interested in what you told your guys the first time that you met them. I mean, you're a guy who's, coming from out of state. You're showing up. These guys, may not know who you are. What was your message to your players the first time you addressed them as head coach?
Well, I just kind of outlined what our expectations were, not only our mission statement, but what we expected from the culture from them as far as practice and games, things like that in the classroom, in the community, and just kind of gave them our vision for where we wanted to go, and told them how we were going to help them get there, and then outlined the schedule for how we were going to do that and get started with our weights and our off-season program, and the kids have been great. They've bought in and they've been working their tails off.
We're talking with Kelly Lee, the new head coach of the Brownsville Veterans Memorial Chargers here on Texas Football Today. Get involved in the conversation at #TFToday. Coach, for folks who maybe haven't watched a ton of Eastern New Mexico football, can you give fans an idea of what a Kelly Lee coach team looks like? What can Chargers fans expect from your Vets squad?
Well, I think everywhere we've been, I think kids playing with great effort. We coach effort, we grade effort, we preach effort. So, we're going to be physically and mentally tough. We're going to play with great effort. We're old school. We run a version of the flex bone offense, so we're triple option oriented, and I think that breeds toughness in your team. And we're going to play sound defense, and we're going to try to get after the quarterback. So physical, old school football. Very disciplined players who play extremely hard and play with great emotion and enthusiasm. We really want the games to be about the kids. The practices, that can be about the coaches and the schemes and the process, but we want those kids to be so prepared when it comes game time. They can go out, have fun, play with a lot of effort, passion, and emotion and enthusiasm.
I want to follow up on your offense because I'll admit I've got your questionnaire for the 2021 Summer Edition, Dave Campbell's Texas Football here. Thank you, Coach. I appreciate you.
You got it.
You list your offensive formation as ground strike. Can you explain
to
me what is that?
That's we're the antithesis maybe of the air raid, right? We're the ground strike, and we're a flex bone team. If we looked like Army or Navy, but some of our players actually came up with that one year. They named it. We want to call our offense the ground strike, so we started calling it that, and that's just kind of become our identity, who we are. We're a flex bone team. I think we set the Lone Star Conference record for the most rushes in a single season last year, 770 times. So we run the ball, but really what we're known for is being an option offense that throws the ball really well. So that's kind of who we are. We really think of our run game as and our pass game as something that works together. And we like to set up the big play and have those big play passes. We were throwing some skelly today, and our one of our defense coaches said, "We don't throw too many short passes, do we, Coach?" I said, "No, when we throw it, we mean it." And we're not trying to throw for first downs; we're trying to throw for touchdowns. So but if to the average fan, we'd look very much like maybe Georgia Tech used to look, or Army or Navy. That style of offense.
You love to see it. I want to ask you a little bit about your personnel this year. I know you're in the start of practice. You're starting to get to know your guys. Have you figured out quite yet what kind of kids you got down there? Have you figured out quite yet where the strength of this team may lie in 2021?
Yeah, I think we've got some really good leadership on our older kids that are returning. I think that's a strength, and I think we're going to go as far as our offense and defensive line will take us. I think the schemes that we are implementing is going to really take advantage of their skill sets, being able to be physical, get off the ball. We got good strength, good size, and good quickness for big kids. So I think that's really going to be our strength. And just we got good, disciplined kids. I've been able to push them and coach them hard, and they've responded. So I think attitude's going to be one of our big selling points too. Is I think we're going to have a great attitude coming out practice every day, and when you have that, you're going to get better week to week.
Finally, one more question for the new head coach of the Brownsville Veterans Memorial Chargers, Kelly Lee, here on Texas Football Today. Coach, you're a native New Mexican. You went to Hot Springs High School. You went to Western New Mexico. You were a coach at Midland College for a year in the NAIA. But you're a native New Mexican. New Mexico's known for a couple of things. One thing is that it's a great food state. You guys got good food out there in New Mexico. We do. You're also moving to the Rio Grande Valley, which is a great food place.
Fantastic.
Right.
Can you say I'm just gonna put you on the spot. Did that have any role in you taking the job? Looking around and looking at the food scene.
I don't know if it had a role, but it is definitely not a negative. Some of these coaches have been taking me to different places every day at lunch when we can, and I haven't eaten at a bad one yet. I'll tell you that.
He's Kelly Lee. He's the new head coach of the Brownsville Veterans Memorial Chargers. Coach, really appreciate your time. Congratulations again on the new gig. Welcome to Texas. Can't wait to see what your Chargers do.
Thank you. I really appreciate you talking to us, and go Chargers.
There he goes. Kelly Lee, head coach, the Brownsville Veterans Memorial Chargers here on Texas Football Today. They are first of all, Ground Strike. That's great branding. That's terrific branding. That they got the air raid. The air raid sounds fun. And then you're like, well, we're gonna run the wing tee. And it's like,
okay,
I know the wing tee. The wing tee's great.
Yeah.
Like it's an option offense. It's great, but it's got a branding problem.
Yeah.
It sounds old. It sounds like an old offense.
It does.
So if you rebrand it, be like, we're the Ground Strike offense. I love it. Yes.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, I think, we were talking earlier about how the depth of coaching here in the state of Texas is so good. And you have coaches who want to come coach in Texas because, look, maybe they want to get back in the high school ranks. Obviously that was the case here for Coach Lee, but also, you want to prove yourself against the best. You know what I mean? You want to come here and do it here. We talked about Mark Del Percio, the guy who he left Delaware. He was like the greatest coach in Delaware history.
Yeah.
Came to Texas, took out Orange Grove because he's like, I need to prove that I can do it here.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is, I think, kind of the case there with Coach Lee, who's obviously been terrific there at Eastern New Mexico. He was their offensive coordinator before he was their head coach. And a guy who knows what he's doing. I'm very interested to see what Brownsville Vets looks like. And it's a great hire for them to bring in Kelly Lee. Excited to see what they do down there in the RGV. So we appreciate Kelly Lee, his time today. And now, let's go across the studio to the Pickled Palace. Sure. And for America's second favorite segment, final thoughts.
I think that the biggest one is, first off, a programming note. We will not be having a show tomorrow. Do not yell at us on Twitter. We're not having a show.
We have to do something that I can't talk about, but here is the one thing. I will say this. I got to pick up Pickle at 5 in the morning.
Yes. So.
Ugh.
Don't yell at me at noon because we're gonna be 7 hours deep in work, and we're not gonna do it.
We're very, very tired. So no show tomorrow.
No
we'll
show
be back
tomorrow.
Monday, though.
Yeah.
Anything else?
There was this question, and we'll see if you answer this or not. But you're opening up a new school, and you can hire any active coach to be the head coach. Who are you swiping?
Boy, that's a tough question.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go ahead and shoot my shot here and just say, well, I don't have the answer yet, but just no salary cap, no nothing. You could take any coach you wanted. Who are you getting?
Scott Surratt.
Yep, that was me too.
Yeah, but I mean, you got your pick. I mean, look, if you say I'm gonna go take Randy Allen, I'd be like, that's a super good idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Go get him. Go get.
But
Phil
I also
Manhertz.
I think the
go
reason
get Tim Buchanan. There's a bunch of guys. One thing about Tim Buchanan, I'll just throw this out there. But I think people forget that he built them into the dynasty that they are. Same thing with Danaher.
Yep.
At Highland Park was pretty good. When but. I mean, obviously, Randy Allen, even if you take out what he's done at Highland Park, he's still a Hall of Famer because he did it at Abilene Cooper, he did it at Brownwood. But I don't know. Yeah, if you're starting one, then you need a builder.
Yeah.
And probably Surratt might be the guy.
I think Surratt. I could throw out two, and I think for me,
John Kay.
Yeah, if you want an older person who's gonna like you said, like Randy Allen or Phil Danaher, you could go with that. Or if you're gonna go younger and build, Riley Dodge is one to throw out there.
Yeah, that's tough.
So yeah, I think it's more of a. Do you want someone who?
I don't want to. Actually, Kelly Lee, because he's gonna run the Ground Strike offense.
Exactly.
That's what I want. And I'm there for my entertainment only. I want that.
I want to be able to yell "Ground Strike" every game.
I mean, Gary Joseph. I mean, look.
Yeah.
The guy's got the best winning percentage in Texas high school football history. It's hard to be like, oh, I'll take anybody besides him. A lot of great options there. That's the joy of it. The beauty is that we don't have to choose.
Oh,
we get to watch them all.
Brad Butler too.
Brad Butler?
Talk about starting a program.
I mean, yeah.
Clearly he knows how to do it.
I'll throw out another one. A guy who I just feel like does not get enough love is like Chris Ketting at Canadian. Like what he does there every year is unbelievable. Like they're always there. Always. Jake Fazell Gunners, same way.
Yep.
That they're always super.
You would hire John King. Don't lie about it.
That's for different reasons. I'd hire John King because I like being around John King.
Just because you want to walk into the office and see John King's face every single day.
Hey, Coach. That's going to do it for us. Thanks for spending a little bit of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF, like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's, and, of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Thanks again to Brownsville Veterans Memorial Coach Kelly Lee for being our guest. For Ashley Pickle, I'm Greg Tepper. Vince Young, please get your Player of the Year trophy. We'll see you Monday on Texas Football Today.